There's one thing that does worry me at times about Britain is that, I mean, when I found out there was potentially 1 million victims from the grooming scandal, potentially up to 1 million girls and boys that have been under the behest of these animals, including the Labour government, including those that they were supposed to trust, those that they believed were there to protect them, that in some cases didn't just fail their duties to protect them, but engaged in activities themselves towards these victims. It's vile. And you would think, because that is an act of war, what they done to our young children, that is an act of war. And you would think, with such a number being that high, you'd think with just 1,000 young girls or young boys, even 100. Just imagine back in the 50s, had 100 young girls, British girls, being targeted for being white and British by foreign men to be groomed. And you look at the accounts of what actually took place, you look at what they endured, baseball bats being inserted in every area, pumps to be used, inflated on 12 and 13-year-old children, honesty boxes for Muslim men to just turn up, do their deed, and write their name down on a piece of paper as if these young girls and boys, because I will say boys, because they don't get as much attention as well as the girls. And I'm not saying that, we should for a second, count the girls out, because they will be majority the ones that were affected. However, we cannot forget there was boys involved in this as well. It was young men. In fact, recently, older men, this has been happening to. Some of the boat people that have been coming here. We've seen a story only last week of a pensioner being assaulted on steps in a church. Sexually assaulted in a church. A place where spiritual safety must have meant absolutely everything to this man, this elderly gentleman. And yet, some non-UK citizen come over here, we welcomed them in, give them everything that we don't give our own, and they do this to the very people that pay for them to stay here. It's vile. It's vile. And that goes without all the terrorist attacks we've endured. That goes without all the other murders and sexual assaults and all the other horrific stories we have had to go through. All the children that have suffered, all the women and men, Lee Rigby, Rhiannon White, the young girls in Southport. There are so many occasions where you would have thought that the British people would have come together and fought back against this. And okay, yeah, you could say with Southport, there was some resistance shown in the form of riots. Whereas in reality, if you would have went back into, I'm saying 1970s, 80s, had this stuff have happened back then, we would have been knocking at the door of London. I genuinely do believe that. And I sometimes think to myself, have we, the British people, lost our way? And I know it's all well and good to feel optimistic, but sometimes when I make videos and I go and look on comments and videos and I see people laughing, they're British as well. They're English or Scottish or Welsh, and they're saying it will never happen. We'll never be able to do this. There's no optimism, and which makes me feel, pessimistic about things. And I feel we've lost our way. We've forgot how strong we are, and we've lost that togetherness. We've lost that strength and unity, and we've lost that courage. And how much more are we going to take of this? And it feels to me people only wish to act as if it affects them. You see it all the time with charities. People are not willing to give. They're not willing to donate. Even your own friends and family, with your own fundraisers. They're not willing to participate or help unless forced or, unless they feel like they've got no choice to. Unless it affects them. Unless it affects their loved ones. And then, at that point, they're expecting, as they should, that their British brothers and sisters, the common folk, would be stood right next to them, and they question why. We've all been there when something's happened to us, and we think, why isn't the world, standing next to me right now? Because you would think they would, and then, and you're shocked by it, and then you move on, and then you do the same to others. You think, well, soldier, where were you in my time of need? And I think that's what has become of us. But I do believe eventually there is a boiling point. There is, but we're becoming a laughingstock. I'm getting Americans, Canadians, some can argue they're the same people. I'm getting people all over the world, Israel, and they all say, what is wrong with your people? Why haven't you risen up? And it was embarrassing on a live stream a couple of weeks ago. We had a female on there from Lebanon, and she was saying, so this has all happened to your young girls and young boys, referring to the grooming gang scandal, or, our gang, but you got to be careful with what we're saying on social media because we get shadow banned. Why ain't your people stood up to this? Where's the outrage? Where's the outcry? And then when you see what's going on with all the Christians that are being absolutely butchered and pogroms taking place in Nigeria, Congo, and God knows where else, Armenia, Syria, where families are being hunted down, not just in their thousands or hundreds of thousands, but in their millions. We see our very own people in South Africa being hunted as if they were animals. And no one battles an eyelid. They just do their 9 to 5. They do as they're told by the government. They'll allow their taxes to go up. They'll allow this cost of living. We're being trampled on in every direction. Politically, socially, culturally, religiously. And the amount of abuse and bullshit we're enduring, for what? For what? And it seems to me there's a lot of fear, as well as division. There's a lot of fear amongst the British population, whereas, if we stand up, we're going to get thrown away. Or if we stand up, there's a potential that, we might get hurt, we might lose our jobs. Well, that's going to happen anyway, sooner or later. Let's face it. The inevitable is going to take place. And, we talk about our forefathers, what they done for us. Only 2 generations ago, our great-grandfathers put down their lives to save us, to give us the freedom that we have today, to fight back. And what have we done with it? What are we doing with it? We're throwing it away. We are throwing it away. We haven't got half the courage, half the bottle that our ancestors had. And they would not have put up with 1 ounce of what we're putting up with today. And I'm telling you now, my great-grandfather, as well as many of yours, would be ashamed of us just as much as they are ashamed of our government for letting all this happen, because we have simply let this happen. It's all well and good blaming government after government and, systems after systems. And you can come up with as many excuses as you wish, but the truth is, they wouldn't have put up with this. They would not have stood for this. They would have been up in arms had this have happened in their day, yet they're getting away with it. And the more they get away with what they do, be it burdening our farmers the way they are, to the point that our own farmers are taking their lives in their hundreds over the past few years. And the fact that, we're allowing up to 1 million victims of grooming gang scandal by people who hate our way of life, that we have let in, that we pay for, that we don't want here, yet we just let them come on in. And it's all well and good waving a flag outside a hotel and saying a few speeches at a demonstration, but that's not going to save us. That's not going to bring back the lives of all the men, women and children that have had to suffer because of these people. That's not going to bring back the dignity of all the people who have had to endure attacks and have to live with that for the rest of their lives now, day in and day out, being reminded of the evil that we let in, the evil we let roam our streets. And this is not a call for violence by any means necessary. Again, we have to be careful with what we say, just in case we get banged up by this communist China-looking government that we have. It's amazing. It's amazing. I sometimes sit and think, is there ever going to be any kind of flashpoint where we're not just going to see a few mobs on the street a bit angry, throwing bricks at hotels and setting fire to bins? Because that's not going to get you anywhere. But people showing sincere disgust, people taking to the streets and taking London without leaving, staying there, staying put, refusing to leave until change is made. You'd think that would be... I mean, look, go look back at when they tried closing the pits, the coal mines back in the day. Go look at back in the 80s where some of the riots took place in London, and, you had protests down in London over things that were not even half as trivial as what we're going through now. And yet our people today, we just hear it. It's almost normalised. We've become desensitised to all this that's taking place. Oh, another murder. Oh, another one. Oh, okay. Oh, it's not my loved ones. That's the attitude that I see today, and it's worrying. It's worrying. And you have some people, GB News talk, some other mainstream media channels as well, talk about what's going on. Oh, another attack is taking place. Oh, this is terrible. When's this going to stop? Yeah, where's the action? Where's the action, guys? Oh, we'll put on a protest. We'll put on a vigil. Yeah, we'll set up a fundraiser. Oh, I've got an idea. Let's do an inquiry. And we always say, oh, and the governments will promise us. Of course they do. They say, yes, we're going to learn from our mistakes and we'll make sure this never happens again. How many times have you heard that? Last year was the awakening. Many people decided to join and come and take part in some kind of protest or demonstration. And, whilst I don't believe they are the solution, of course, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of people saying that we have had enough. But unless we do wake up to the severity of what's taking place, unless we do something soon, the country as we know it will disappear. Our civilization will disappear. Our heritage will be gone. Our history will be rewritten. And our future will be made by those who absolutely detest anything and everything we love and what our ancestors held dear, fought for, bled, died for, and worked for. You can kiss goodbye to everything. We have become so relaxed as people, so materialized. We have lost our values. We have lost our deep Christian faith. We have lost our respect towards our ancestors. And it's all well and good turning up at a remembrance parade or a cenotaph once a year to say, let's honour the fallen, let's do this, and celebrate Easter by buying your kids a few eggs, celebrate Christmas by going to a market, which now we have to have armed police there because we can't trust that no psycho's going to come past and drive a car through us all or shoot us or stab us to the point of a mass terrorist attack, which the news will then describe the attacker as mentally ill and call them a British choir boy or what have you. This is what I mean. It's beyond a joke. And we can all see through it. There was the attack in Scotland last year where some man's head magically come off of his shoulders. Isn't that strange? And yet, we hear nothing about it. And unless you have an X account, you really don't see the severity of what's going to come to the UK. What will happen, what the UK will be hosting. We will be going backwards. And although I'd like it to go backwards in one way, as in go back to the times where we were strong, go back to the times where we were an industrial powerhouse, the times where we had more modesty and family tradition and the nuclear family that we held dear. We didn't have the likes of Bonnie Blue and what's her name, that Lily girl, doing the walk of shame, covered with ejaculate on her face walking through London. Bonnie Blue sleeping with 1,000 men. These are the women that are today's idols for our young girls. Yes, great. And anyone who dares to speak up against the government, the police, or any kind of part of the establishment, well, they get labelled as Zionists, they get labelled a grifter, they get labelled, all the names under the sun, racist, fascist, and if it's not by the communists and everyone else, well, it's their very own that are attacking them. And so where does this end? So when are we going to put our differences aside, be it politically, be it religiously, be it culturally, socially, or any other way? When are we going to put all that aside and just stand together, for heaven's sake, for Britain, for freedom, for the liberties that are many millions died, many 16-year-olds and men that were not even old enough to join the forces sacrificed their lives to give to us. They didn't know us, yet they knew that there was no greater love than to lay your life down for others, which is a Christian value that we have been brought up with, that we have forgotten. And that's what they did. They knew this. Our great-grandparents knew this, whether they were very religious or whether they were just those that grew up with the Christian principles and values taught in school. They knew the importance of this. They knew that Britain wouldn't have a future, that we, their children, wouldn't have a future. This is why we should do it, because our children, our grandchildren, your grandchildren won't have a future unless we stand. And we have to match that of the enemy as well. Don't forget this. There is a force out there willing to die and fight for what they believe in. They are disciplined. They are united. In fact, they are united with another half of our very own people that they don't have absolutely anything in common with. In fact, the polar opposites. You see the Islamists and the unholy alliance of the radical left and the Islamists, the LGBTQ, a lot that Queers for Palestine holding hands with Islamists calling for an intifada and jihad. Yet, had they spent a second in Ramallah, Jenin, or any kind of place in the West Bank or Gaza, they wouldn't last 2 seconds. They'd be hanging off of a crane or be thrown off a rooftop. It's as simple as that. And that's the truth. We all know that. There's videos supporting that very case on social media itself. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know this. Yet, what are we doing? Many people ask, when are we going to stand? When are we going to wake up? When are we going to fight back against this? When are we going to show some resistance? And I can't ever give them an answer. It's just a case of, well, not when, but will we? That's what I'm beginning to feel now. Will we stand up? Now, you may have your criticisms against me saying, oh, don't be so, we're ready, but I don't see any signs of it. And if you, again, look at what has actually taken place, I don't see it. I just don't. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it's just a case of we've just been extremely tolerant and that, there is people that are ready, that, are at boiling point now. But if we continue down this path of just ignorance, then we too are complicit in the evil taking place. Our silence is allowing this to happen. Unless we stand, more victims, more people, more children will suffer. More women, the vulnerable, the elderly, they are all going to suffer from every direction possible, including our government, mainly by our government. We have everything against us: the communists, the socialists, the Islamists, our government, our police, our judicial system. It's all against us. which does create a lot of fear, I know, but that itself should explain why we need to stand up, why we need to come together. Yet people are arguing over whether you're a voter for Reform or Advance or Restore, whether you like Nigel more or Rupert. Who's your messiah? You know, whether you're an FNAT or a CivNat. No, it's just, I'm a nationalist. There's different levels of nationalism. You know, you get some that are more extreme, some that are more moderate. It doesn't matter. If you love this country, you're a nationalist, you're a patriot. It's as simple as that. Yet, those would rather argue and debate over that very topic than stand. They would rather argue over it. And people will fill the comment section because that comforts them more than point out, hang on a minute, this is doing us no good. Why are we arguing amongst ourselves? We should be united. Oh, you're an FNAT and this person's a CivNat. Yet 2 months ago, you were shoulder to shoulder at the same protest. You were talking, holding hands, talking about solidarity, unity, about fighting back. Now you're going to win. Oh, but now Steve Laws went on a podcast with On the Dozen with, what's his name? The guy on Heretics, Andrew Gold. And, now you've got these two tribes. And if you don't associate yourself with one, well, then you're not in. It's absurd. It's playground stuff. And it's really dividing us. We need to come together. And you're seeing YouTubers now expose one another, and the right has never been so divided over petty, childish things. And unless we get over these hurdles, unless we bring it to an end, come together and start giving people hope, start giving people the strength, the mental strength to remember who they are, what they should believe in, what they should be doing. That's what our game plan should be. We need to give people hope. We need to remind them of who they are. We need to tell them to get fit, tell them to be prepared, make their home safe, make plans with their families, and start preparing to protest properly. And I'm not saying doing anything violent again. I have to, because I'm not meaning that. I'm saying that we need to, by some way, shape or form, instead of standing outside a hotel playing Rule Britannia, waving a flag, then going home after taking a few photos with one another. Instead of deciding you're going to become an auditor or a YouTuber and get a camera and start taking to the streets. No, we need to start forming groups on social media, forming groups on WhatsApp, Telegram, and other social media platforms, and start planning to take back our country, be it by the ballot box, or by going to London and simply staying put in a peaceful protest until things have changed. And if not, then other ways. Other ways. Read between the lines, guys. Other ways. Without saying stupid things. There are other ways. But anyway, I'm off. Got the dentist. Rant over. And if you feel the same, then start talking to people. Start making those feelings known, because it's so true. In fact, share this with people, because this conversation needs to be had. Is it a case of that, we're too tolerant now, or that we've become desensitized as to what's going on? Or have we lost our way? Because if we have lost our way, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, the future looks very bleak. Very bleak. And I can't imagine what's going to happen for our children. We have a chance, as always, to make history, to be the first country to do everything as we have always done. Democracy, the Industrial Revolution, everything that we have done, the greatness we have given the world from this small, very island has come and started here with this country, with our people. Countries follow us. They follow us by example because they know that we are great and our ways work. So we need to lead this fight. We need to lead the example and set that precedent for other countries to follow, and they will follow. Men, it's time to be brave. Women also. But men, even braver, because what's ahead of us is very dark. Very dark. Anyway, God bless, take care, and wish me luck with my with my filling. See you later, guys.